It's no surprise that Americans genuinely love the Toyota RAV4. When this nameplate was first introduced to the world over 30 years ago, Toyota essentially created the compact crossover utility space, and it became so popular with consumers that every other manufacturer was scrambling to introduce their version in order to steal a piece of that sales pie. Well, for 2026, Toyota is looking to raise the bar yet again with an all-new 6th generation. As you can see, Toyota is out for blood because this is riding on an all-new updated architecture. It comes standard with hybrid-only powertrain, offering best-in-class power and best-in-class fuel efficiency. And on the inside, they've infused this thing with enough technology that used to only be reserved for Toyota's luxury division, Lexus. Now, as you can see, this week, we are testing out the latest 2026 RAV4 in this fully loaded limited trim. And the big question I answered, for those of you who are looking for a compact crossover family SUV, has Toyota made enough changes to the RAV4 to yet again raise the bar in this segment? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the all-new sheet metal for this 6th generation RAV4, I thought I'd remind you what's going on underneath the hood. Now, the previous generation of the RAV4 offered a non-hybrid 2.5-liter gas-only engine. However, Toyota did away with that, kind of like what they did with the new generation Camry, which means all versions of the new RAV4 come powered with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with either 2 or 3 electric motors. Now, underneath the hood, if you guys are familiar with the previous generation RAV4, this engine should be pretty familiar. It's essentially their 5th generation of their hybrid Synergy drive, which combines that Atkinson cycle dynamic force 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with either 2 or 3 electric motors. Now, this limited trim that I'm showing you has 3 electric motors. That's because it adds a separate E-axle at the back, giving it all-wheel drive. The gas engine on its own delivers around 183 horsepower, but when you combine it with the 3 electric motors, it now produces a total of 236 horsepower. That's a nice increase over the 219. Toyota doesn't quote the torque figure. If you guys go for the new front-wheel drive version, the power does drop to 226, which is still 7 more horsepower versus the previous generation. It all goes out through an electronic eCVT transmission. And like I said earlier, either front-wheel drive or their electronic on-demand all-wheel drive system for an extra $2,000 on certain lower trims. Now, fuel economy is very impressive. The most fuel-efficient LE two-wheel drive versions get like up to 48 mpg and 44 combined. This limited trim, however, with all-wheel drive drops that to a still very impressive 43 in the city, 37 on the highway, around 41 combined. With its 14.5-gallon fuel tank, you're looking at well over 500 miles of range on a full tank. Now, Toyota doesn't quote a 0 to 60 time. We'll try this out when we get this vehicle out on the road. Top speed should be right around 125 miles an hour. And Toyota has improved the towing capacity. It now maxes out at 3,500 pounds when you guys get the necessary hitch, obviously. The front drive versions max out at 1,750 pounds. And as this car sits, it weighs in at just over 3,900 pounds. So it's gained roughly 100 pounds compared to the prior generation. If you guys want more power, the plug-in hybrid version, specifically on the GR Sport, although you can get a plug-in hybrid on the XSE, the SE, or the Woodland trim, will make up to 320 horsepower. I'll save that for a different review because I will have that vehicle for a full week sometime later this summer. But closing the hood, as you can see, it's held up by a prop rod. Let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling of this particular limited model. Now, this is part of the core trim line because Toyota offers it in a total of 6 different trims for 2026. This is the core trim, so it consists of the LE, XLE Premium, or this limited trim. There's also the sport grades like the SE and XSE, and then the GR Sport. The new RAV, as you can see, has a lot of the new Toyota styling direction or languages here. Now, I actually have it parked next to a 2022 RAV4. This belongs to my parents. They've had this car since it was new back in 2022. And now that we're seeing the car side by side, you can clearly see the resemblance of the new version to the old model, but with some key differences, obviously. Now, first of all, the 2022 model is an XSE. It would only be fair if I had an XSE 2026, but this is what Toyota sent me. But let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling details. The Hammerhead full LED headlights are going to be standard on this limited. This does get an upgraded LED where you have these LED daytime running lights with these signature light bars with a projector style LED low and high beam. The limited also gives you LED fog lights, which is nice. And with the Hammerhead headlights, it flows into a redesigned Toyota grille, which has these interesting little satin chrome slats in the actual insert of the grille with this kind of almost like gloss black closed off area with the Toyota logo that kind of sits more upright, or more, I guess, flat along the hood. The hood itself has some additional creases and bulges, and with the satin black trim around the satin and gloss black around the fog light housing with these well-integrated parking sensors, front camera system. The Limited also includes a gloss gray at the lower front splitter. It certainly is a nice looking SUV that's definitely still conservative, but let me know in the comment section below if you guys prefer the look of the previous generation or the new 6th generation. I know there's a new CX-5 back there. If you guys are interested in seeing that, I'll be sure to include a link in the description below. I'm also going to do a comparison test with the new RAV4. Now, moving around the side profile, this is built on an updated version of their TNGA architecture, which was first introduced on that generation. And Toyota has basically kept the dimensions the same. It rides on the same 105.9-inch wheelbase with a 181-inch overall length. I think it's like 0.2 inches longer than the previous generation. It's also a little over 73 inches wide. So this is the right size vehicle, although it is significantly smaller than some of its rivals, as much as like 4 inches smaller. But Toyota does a pretty good job with the packaging, which we'll talk about later on the inside. You can see with the Limited trim, you get some satin black wheel arch trim as opposed to the gloss black that you'll get on an XSE, even on the previous generation. These are the standard 18-inch alloy wheels on the Limited. For an extra $1,200, Toyota will sell you a bigger 20-inch wheel. I highly recommend that. I don't like the way these wheels look, but it comes with a pretty big sidewall for the tires, 235 by 60 R18. These are Goodyear Assurance all-season tire. Brake rotors measure 12 inches at the front, 11 inches at the back. You have just over 8 inches, around 8.1 inches of ground clearance, obviously a fully independent suspension. The Woodland trim increases that ground clearance to around 8.6 inches, so keep that in mind. The Woodland's also an inch wider and an inch taller. With the Limited trim, you get this gloss black on the side mirrors. These are not power folding, sadly, but you do have integrated turn signals and a 360 camera. You cannot get the two-tone black roof on the Limited like you can on the XSE grade. Again, that's the old model. And the Limited comes standard with a panoramic glass sunroof. This is the only trim to come standard with a panoramic glass roof. My test car also has the accessory low profile roof rails, which are nice if you plan to put stuff on the roof. You can see the RAV, the new version, still has kind of a boxy upright appearance. In fact, some of you have compared this profile here to the 4th generation RAV4 or perhaps even the current generation Nissan Rogue, which you're really going to see that as you come to the rear of the vehicle. The taillights have a very distinctive design. I really like the all LED look to them, with these kind of vertical LED light bar slats that also function as the brake light, the tail light, and the actual turn signal. RAV4 is spelled out at the back here with this teeny tiny Toyota badge here that's also gloss black. You also have a tasteful rear spoiler back here with your rear third brake light. You also have a digital camera rearview mirror. That's standard equipment on the Limited trim, optional on the current XSE. The rear wiper would have looked better if Toyota would have tucked it underneath the rear spoiler. But there's also plenty of badging back here. HEV with their new Beyond Zero badge, that stands for hybrid electric vehicle. All-wheel drive is standard on the Limited, but there are front drive versions of the hybrid now where you won't have the all-wheel drive badge, and there's also a Limited badge. Just like on the front bumper, you have a glossy gray finish here on that rear bumper with the integrated parking sensors. Unlike the previous generation, however, Toyota does not have an exposed exhaust system. It still has dual tips, but it now is tucked underneath the bumper. On that previous generation, I really liked the exposed dual rear exhaust tip, so a little sad that Toyota kind of went backwards there. Now, in terms of the cargo capacity, this Limited is also the only trim that comes standard with the hands-free power-activated liftgate. Other trims will have a power liftgate, but not the hands-free functionality. And because the vehicle is still roughly the same size, cargo capacity stays roughly the same as well. Now, my test car has the 9-speaker JBL sound that's standard. It includes a sub back here. There's a little bit of storage off to the side, and there's also a pretty decent size underfloor storage area that still houses the temporary spare tire. Toyota says you have 37.6 cubic feet of cargo space back here, which is actually the same as the previous generation. Now, if you want to fold down these seats, Toyota still does not offer a lever back here where you could remotely release it. But if you just kind of reach in and push that down, Toyota says the maximum cargo is now 70.6 cubic feet of storage space. That's an increase of 1 cubic feet compared to the previous generation. It's not the best in the class, but it's definitely pretty much mid-packed, and it's a very usable amount of space with decent underfloor storage. And I think for most people who are looking in this segment, you're going to find lots of practicality in the cargo area of the new 2026 RAV4. Now moving on to the interior of this 2026 Toyota RAV4. Before we get inside, let me go ahead and show you guys the key fob. This is the latest intelligent access key that Toyota has been using for a few years. It has the RAV4 badging on the back with the Toyota logo where the button side is. There are also the typical buttons here that you'd expect: lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic function. This vehicle also includes remote start from the fob, or you can also do it from your smartphone. If you push the lock button 3 times, then hold it on the 3rd try, that's what will activate the remote start. It's nice how Toyota includes that, although I would have preferred a separate button for the remote start from the fob. Now, moving up to the door handle, it has a traditional pull style door handle, which is nice. That button there, if you touch that, will lock the door for you. If you just want to touch the back of the door handle with the key fob on you, that will also unlock the doors. Sadly, Toyota does not offer power folding mirrors on this model. There's a reason why they want you to go to Lexus. Now, my particular test car is painted in Storm Cloud on the outside, which is a new color on the RAV this year. It's not a new color for Toyota, but it's complemented by this Harvest beige Softex leatherette material. These seats and materials are unique to the limited grade. It has a combination of a synthetic Alcantara with some interesting darker colors and tones in the actual seats themselves. The seats, I don't love the way they look, but they are completely redesigned, and it has a really nice soft padding material. They are heated and ventilated. You have a 10-way power driver's seat, an 8-way power passenger seat, which is nice. It also includes a 2-person memory on the driver's side as well, which is a great touch. This Harvest Beige also looks really nice with the 2-tone black interior. Toyota also offers a black interior or a light gray interior as well, but no brown interior, surprisingly. But I think this is a great color combination. Unfortunately, if you guys are looking for real leather, Toyota doesn't offer real leather, but this Softex does a really great impersonation of leather. Now, looking at the door panel materials, this upper portion has a soft touch, slightly soft touch injection molded plastic with a nice grading material. There's also more Softex here and here where you'd rest your elbows. You have a gray painted plastic door handle. Your 2-person memory controls are there. You have illuminated window switches and one touch up down for all 4. Silver accents along the window trim. Your mirror controls and your door lock controls are there. This area here is your grab handle, but I don't love the scratchy plastic that you'll find over here, especially since this is an area that you touch. Thankfully, where you rest your elbow here, it's slightly padded. It's all hard touch plastic down here. And then the limited trim comes standard with the 9-speaker JBL audio, which I believe is an upcharge on some of the other trims. But overall, it makes a nice first impression. Definitely a big change versus the previous generation RAV4 on the inside. Now, stepping inside with its 8.1 inches of ground clearance, this has a really easy step-in height, and as I shut the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on the updated version of their TNGA architecture. Now, new steering wheel. It's the first Toyota, I think, with this steering wheel, although they just showed this in the new Highlander EV as well. It has a 3-spoke design, pretty nice high-quality leather. The steering wheel is also heated, and you have a manual tilt telescoping. It offers a good amount of adjustability to get comfortable. The horn, it sounds a little puny given that this is a compact SUV, but that's something that perhaps owners could just get over. Starting the vehicle up, it has the start-stop power button in the usual position, which does get blocked by the steering wheel. With your foot on the brake, turn the vehicle on. Because every RAV4 is now a hybrid, it doesn't have that traditional starter noise. Instead, it just says ready in that digital 12.3-inch cluster, which is standard equipment on all trims. Previously, Toyota made you buy the higher trims to get the digital driver's display. And then with the limited trim, it also gets standard the bigger 12.9-inch center touchscreen, which has a brand new version of Toyota's audio multimedia interface. This is the first Toyota vehicle to get that. It is a big upgrade, which the old one was still very good, but Toyota made some changes here because they were listening to feedback, which is nice. That camera here is for the driver monitor. This has their latest version of Toyota Safety Sense 4.0. And then with the limited trim for $600, you can get that head-up display, which is nice. This area here you can see is very cheap, scratchy, hard plastic, but I guess you never really will touch that. This area here, however, is that Softex beige with a nice little storage shelf here. Toyota also includes a nice combination of physical buttons here for a volume knob and your climate temperature control here. However, if you want to turn off the climate, it is in the screen now. So to turn it off, you basically tap that off button there or just push the auto button here. You can also put the heated and cooled seats in an auto setting, which is nice. You have 3-level heated and cooled seat functions. That's standard on the Limited and the XSE grade. You have to go for those top trims to get the ventilated seats. Other versions of the RAV will just have a heated seat, except for the LE, I believe, doesn't include that. You also have 2-level heated steering wheel, which is a nice touch, along with an automatic function. There's also a heated windshield on this limited trim, which is great. And I also appreciate the traditional air vents, which have a tab where you can adjust the airflow. The Limited is also the only trim to give you dual wireless phone charging pads. Other trims will just have a single wireless phone charging pad. You have to at least go for the XLE Premium trim to get the wireless charger as standard. Your drive mode selector is here. There are 3 different drive modes, Sport, or 4 different drive modes, so you can even go to a custom and you can customize that. However, you can only adjust the powertrain, steering, and air conditioning. There's no adaptive dampers. Most of the times you're going to be driving this vehicle in normal mode anyways. There's also a trail and a snow mode, so technically a total of 6 different drive modes and a different an actual button here for the normal mode. And there's also an EV button here where you can drive the vehicle at low speeds, at low throttle applications to in pure electric power, but with a really small 1 kilowatt-hour battery pack, you're not going to get very far, obviously. Now down here, there are 2 USB-C charging ports. You have a little more storage right here. If I push that button, it has that 360 panoramic view camera, which Toyota has seriously upgraded the quality and the resolution of said camera. And I can also do a perimeter 360 scan. This is something you couldn't do on that previous generation in my garage. So this is fantastic. You can also change the color of the car in the settings. In fact, this green color is gorgeous. Toyota doesn't even offer this green color on the actual RAV, but maybe it's foreshadowing what they could offer. So love the fact that the 360 camera is standard on this trim. You used to have to pay extra for it on the previous generation, so that's all nice upgrades. This vehicle also comes with their advanced park, so it has the ability to parallel park itself, which is great. That's how you know you have the advanced park, because you get the electronic shifter here. This little tab thing, if I push it up, it goes into reverse. There's your 360 camera again with front and rear parking sensors, cross traffic braking, trajectory, all that stuff that you'd expect. Electronic parking brake. There's a little bit of piano black plastic here, but Toyota also nicely covered this with a flat gray plastic, although this feels a little cheap. And there's also, I'm noticing a couple of uneven panel gaps. This car is built in Japan, but at least there are no squeaks and rattles in this interior, which is nice. Decent sized cup holders, and you can see the center console here is somewhat padded, but this definitely feels like a cheap pleather material. It also opens up to from the passenger or the driver's side. And you have another USB in there and a 12-volt power outlet. This is a pretty deep storage console, which is great for hiding some items. And what's unique about this, I have to kind of use 2 hands. If I push both the buttons, you can actually take this off and flip this around if you'd like. Now, this is a great feature because you can kind of put like a hard surface here, but it also makes this feel a little flimsy, which makes this feel like it's cheaply made. This is standard on all versions, so you can't opt out of this. I understand why it's a little flimsy because of the inherent nature of the design, but that could turn people off, especially if you don't like a wobbly center console area. So again, that makes it feel a little cheaper. The seats, as I said earlier, are very comfortable and supportive. For a fake leather, they feel really convincing. And let's go ahead and go into this infotainment system. So some of the big ticket upgrades, it now has a dedicated home display where you can customize the widgets here to your liking. That's something the previous generation didn't have. It also has built-in GPS, which is great. Your audio information is there. So this hasn't really changed. It just added, again, the home display. You can also go into your settings here, customize your settings to your liking. This vehicle also has a new feature called Drive Recorder. It has front and rear dash cams built in, and that's standard on the Limited trim. You can also go into your library here. You can pull out a micro SD card where it'll save clips. So this is a feature that a lot of people are looking for. It's nice how Toyota includes that as standard. The software and the quickness of this, as I touch the screen here, is very quick and snappy. That's really nice. There is interior ambient lighting in this car. However, they don't let you change the color, and it's nothing super special like you'd find in like the Volkswagen Tiguan, for example. You can also go into your driver assist here and adjust that. In general, though, the display here is perfectly acceptable. It's definitely good quality resolution. I think it's a nice size, and it's very quick and snappy. And in general, it's still very easy to use with your climates located down here. But I would have preferred if Toyota gave us a physical on-off or heated and cooled seat switch as opposed to it being in the screen. That's something that I think some owners are going to have to get used to, but the dual zone climate is included on this trim. The JBL sound system with 9 speakers also sounds pretty good. A little bass heavy, but I kind of like that. The glove box is damped but not lined with felt. As you can see, the window sticker accidentally decided to fall out. We'll go ahead and put that back in there. It's not the biggest glove box, and Toyota doesn't offer any additional storage here like you might find on some competitors. But in general, the visibility is good. You just kind of get used to that hood that has the bulges, very thin A-pillars, and even though the material quality did go down, the fit and finish seems fine, and I didn't hear any squeaks and rattles in this interior, so that's definitely a nice, touch. But let's go ahead and check out the backseat area, and I'll show you guys what that space is like. Now, I accidentally left that seat folded, but fold this seat back up. Toyota does offer the ability to kind of recline this seat a little bit, which is a nice touch, and that beautiful Harvest beige soft text carries over back here. The Limited also includes a heated back seat, although it's just one level. Material quality is also soft touch plastic, so they carried that over from the front into the back. I will say that the lower trims have hard touch plastic here, so keep that in mind. That soft text carries over here with that gray painted plastic door handle. It's all hard touch plastic here. Your hybrid battery kind of lives underneath this area. That's where this vent is for. And as I showed you guys earlier, you can fold this seat down to expand the cargo. It has pretty flat cargo area when you have that folded down. Now, stepping inside the back seat, the space back here is pretty much the same as the prior generation, 37.8 inches of legroom back here. So same wheelbase, same overall length. It's still practically the same. There isn't a flat floor here for the middle passenger. There's a slight hump, but this is my driving position at 5'7". I can easily sit back here and cross my legs. It's definitely not as spacious as like the Tiguan or the Honda CR-V or Hyundai Tucson or Kia Sportage, but it's still very usable. Like I said, one level heated seat, 2 USB-C charging ports. They're the 15 watt versus the 45 watt in the front. Rear seat air vents, but no actual household power outlet. You do have 2 storage pockets there. It would be nice to see the retractable sunshades there, and you also have an armrest that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders, which is nice. And then the headroom space, you can see with this panoramic sunroof, does take into the headroom space a little bit, but at 5'7", you can see I have a pretty good amount of headroom space, which is nice, even though that sunroof does take up a little bit of space. But in general, I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate having the extra light. But the backseat, even though it's not the biggest in the segment, it's still very usable for most adults. So I think people are going to find plenty to like here with the backseat space in the new RAV4. So as you guys can probably imagine, a brand new RAV4 is such a huge deal for Toyota. I mean, this vehicle sold nearly 480,000 units in the US last year, making it the best-selling passenger car in America. In fact, it outsold the Ford F-150 to take the #1 spot. So clearly, Toyota wasn't going to mess with this successful formula too much, but regardless, we are driving around in the brand new version of the RAV4. I haven't had a chance to drive this vehicle since I was doing the first drive out in Arizona roughly 6 months ago. This model that we're driving is the limited trim with the smaller 18-inch alloy wheels. It has one of the most powerful engines you're going to find in the segment. Combines their latest generation, I think it's generation 5, 2.5 liter dynamic force 4-cylinder with 3 electric motors. Toyota now offers a front wheel drive version, but the Limiteds only come with all-wheel drive, 236 horsepower. Toyota doesn't quote the torque figure. That's roughly, versus the 219, I can't do math right now, that's like 17 or 16 more horsepower, obviously. This vehicle weighs roughly the same, maybe 50-ish pounds more. Now, it's been a while since I did a 0 to 60 test on a RAV4 in general. The new version I did test out when I was out in Arizona. It did it in 7.5 seconds, but I expect this model to be quicker now that we're here on our usual stretch of road. So to get the best time, I have the vehicle in its sport setting. Let's go ahead and come to a stop here on our usual stretch. We'll brake torque it. Feels good off the line. Very seamless power. Wow. We just got 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. 6.8 seconds is pretty impressive. In fact, that time is only a smidge slower than the Lexus NX 350h. I just had that vehicle, which has this powertrain, but with 4 more horsepower. The Lexus did it in 6.6 seconds. So it's only natural that the Toyota with a little bit less power would be slightly slower, but 6.8 is very good. In fact, that time makes it a little bit faster than the last CR-V hybrid that I tested. It's quicker than a Mazda CX-50 hybrid, almost a little over a full second faster than the Subaru Forester hybrid, and it's a very good time. And now, obviously, if you're looking at the turbocharged options like a Mazda CX-50 turbo or a Volkswagen Tiguan turbo, this is slightly slower. Let's try another 0 to 60 run here. This time I didn't brake torque it. It feels really good. That's the thing about the electric motors. It offers all of its torque right off the line. 7.6 seconds there. Now that road is more uphill, so it's obviously going to be a little bit slower, but still in everyday driving, in most situations, this is going to be, you know, a low 7-second car. I'll try one more run up ahead without brake torquing it on level ground to see if brake torquing it makes a difference. But still, this is one of the quickest accelerating vehicles, and it also gives you the best combination of fuel efficiency with that acceleration. And remember, Toyota makes their excellent hybrid powertrain standard equipment across the board on every version of the RAV. So that's an excellent thing. It's one of the reasons why this car is so darn popular, and I think Toyota made the right decision by getting rid of the gas-only engine. Now, this limited trim is the more comfort-oriented model. You can see the steering is relatively quick and precise, but offers no feedback whatsoever. It feels light, it feels dead and devoid of feel. The suspension in this car is so soft, but it gives you a wonderful, smooth ride quality, especially when you have the 18-inch wheels on this model. You can, for an extra $1,200, get the 20-inch alloy wheels, which I personally would get the 20s because I like the way they look a lot better than these 18s. But if you want a little bit more sidewall protection, you want cheaper tires to replace down the road, the 18s are a nice option that Toyota makes as standard, obviously. The seats, this is their Softex in this Harvest Beige. It looks good, it feels good. These seats are definitely among the most comfortable you're gonna find in the segment. Even though it's a fake leather, it feels like real leather. The heat and cooled function works well. And in general, even though this car is on the softer end, Toyota, remember, offers a GR Sport and an XSE. It'll give you a little bit more of a sportier suspension tune, especially the GR Sport version. I should be driving that vehicle sometime later this summer. Now, the infotainment system, there's the Apple CarPlay connected. It's a 12.9-inch display. This is the bigger display. You can make it a full screen if you'd like there. I love the way the system is laid out. I love how there's still traditional hard buttons. It looks modern, it looks really upscale, and it's a bigger display versus a lot of its other rivals as well, especially the CR-V if you're comparing it to the CR-V. Toyota also made the engine quieter. I noticed there's more refinement in this car. It has more sound deadening materials. It still very much makes its presence known, but most of the times it has, that strong electric-only propulsion, and it really, takes this vehicle off the line very easily. Lots of instant torque. It's only until you really put your foot down hard do you hear that gas engine kicking in again, but it's quieter versus the previous generation that I tested fairly recently. Now let's try one more 0 to 60 run here. It actually has so much power, it spins the front tire slightly. Remember, the rear axle is only powered by a separate electric motor, 6.99 seconds there. So brake torquing, it really doesn't add too much, like 0.1 seconds, but that is very impressive. And this definitely has one of the smoothest transitions between gas and electric. I mean, Toyota is the leader here. Toyota knows how to do a hybrid powertrain, and it's no surprise that the RAV4 is just so good. It really does have a ton of power. This is among the quickest vehicles, and even when you're not trying to drive really aggressively, it just takes off. This vehicle feels effortless. It feels like it has plenty of power for everyday usage, and it has great visibility. I can see out of the front, the side, and the rear easily. The squared off rear end also produces a big window back there, and the Limited comes standard with that digital camera rearview mirror, which is fantastic. You used to have to pay extra for that in the previous generation. Toyota made it standard this year. They've been really improving the standard equipment levels in this car. And for a vehicle, that's an all-new version, this is built in Japan. The build quality is also very good in terms of, how it's put together. I didn't hear any squeaks and rattles in this interior. Obviously, Toyota did downgrade some of the materials, like this upper portion of the dash feels cheap. This feels a little cheap in there, but the touch points are right. This right here, I also wish that Toyota would offer it so it didn't have the ability to take it off. It kind of produces a wobbly center console, but all the touch points, like I said, are good. I like the new steering wheel. It feels nice. No paddles, however, on this model. And then this version has Toyota's latest Safety Sense 4.0. It has active lane keep assist. It has a camera that watches your face. I find it to be a little intrusive. If I look away, like just at the screen, it will yell at you to put your eyes back on the road because it doesn't like distracted driving. It also has built-in dash cams, which is fantastic. Although I will say the dash cams in this model, when I left them on in normal, they are a little too sensitive and just capturing incidents all the time. So I found that to be a little bit annoying. There is a B mode here in the transmission. Remember, this is an eCVT where it gives you engine braking, and you can really hear the engine going or screaming when you have it in B. So I probably wouldn't have it in B whatsoever. But in general, this is such an easy car to live with. It's such an easy car to drive. It may not be the most exciting, the most luxurious, or with the absolute best tech, but there's so much about this car that feels so well-rounded. It works for so many people. And remember, this is the bigger 13-inch, 12.9-inch display. It's going to be large enough for most people. In fact, the 10.5-inch display is going to be good enough for most people. You have that digital cluster there. This is just such a great all-around car. It's no wonder that the RAV4 does so well. Now, in terms of fuel efficiency, it's rated at 43 in the city, 37 on the highway. It went up by around 1 to 2 mpg versus the previous generation. In my week's worth of testing, I easily got 41 miles to the gallon in mostly city driving. That's phenomenal. On the highway, it dropped down to around 36, 35 miles to the gallon. So obviously, these types of hybrids are going to do better in the city because that's where you can drive on pure electric power. And this vehicle will drive on pure electric power a lot more than its rivals. It shows a little EV display there. You can also push an EV mode here, and it'll let you, for certain conditions and speeds, leave the vehicle in EV mode until you put your foot down too hard. With its 14.5 gallon fuel tank on regular, this was getting about 500-ish miles of range on a full tank. Fantastic. Again, best in class, near best in class range, best in class fuel efficiency. And what I also like about this car is the brakes. They feel really, really linear. They don't have any of that weirdness. Toyota's done a great job with tuning the brake feel, switching between regenerative brakes and the friction braking. So in general, the new RAV4 is such a great car. It's no wonder, Toyota didn't want to mess too much with the successful formula. It got more power, better technology, more comfort, more refinement, even better fuel efficiency. And I think for a lot of people, this is going to represent the best vehicle in this segment. And it's no wonder why it remains one of the top selling vehicles in the country. Now, if you guys can believe it, nearly 480,000 people went out and bought this generation RAV4 here in America. Remember, it was the best-selling passenger retail sales vehicle in America in all of 2025. So what made this car so special where nearly 500,000 people bought this vehicle in all of 2025? Well, after spending a full week with the all-new generation, it's pretty easy to see why the RAV4 is literally the perfect family vehicle for like 95% of people, because this car was already a great vehicle. It was out since 2019, and Toyota had kept it fresh. It still offered best-in-class, near best-in-class power, fuel efficiency, and acceleration. But after spending a full week with the all-new 6th generation model, Toyota has essentially taken everything that we liked about this vehicle and made it even better. Obviously, the looks are still subjective. I'm still kind of warming up to the design of this vehicle. I'm looking forward to spending a week with the XSE or the GR Sport. But in terms of refinement, Toyota added more power under the hood. Thanks to that updated hybrid Synergy drive system, we got a pretty impressive 0 to 60 time of 6.8 seconds. This will essentially smoke all but the turbocharged options in its compact crossover segment. The interior also is still very comfortable, and while it may not feel quite as Lexus-like as the previous generation, it still has comfortable seats, it has good touch points. The infotainment system is also such a big improvement compared to that model, which Toyota made some updates over the years, but the upgraded 12.9-inch display with their newest software is definitely among the best in the business. And even though it's not the biggest screen, it has a nice combination of hard buttons and knobs with the touch controls. It has comfortable seats. It has a usable back seat, usable cargo area. And the fact that it only comes as a hybrid means you're going to be getting best-in-class fuel efficiency and power, and you don't have to really make a choice or pay extra for the hybrid powertrain, which is a great thing. This model here isn't the sportiest to drive, but it's also among the most comfortable and among the most quiet. And you're really going to appreciate that on those long road trips while also driving well over 500 miles of range on a full tank. Now, obviously, with a new vehicle like this, with all the upgrades in power, technology, and refinement, it's going to cost more than that previous generation. Toyota has increased the price of the new RAV4 by around $2,000 on paper. It now starts at around $31,900. However, if you're comparing it to the hybrid LE of that generation, Toyota actually has reduced the price by $1,000, and that's because they offer a new front-wheel drive version. Once you add all-wheel drive back to the mix, it makes this car about $1,000 more than the LE all-wheel drive of the previous generation, but most of you are probably going to step it up to an XLE premium trim. That's going to be in the upper $30,000 range. I think it's the sweet spot for most people. However, this limited trim, if you guys want all the bells and whistles and you want enough technology that will make you think twice about buying a Lexus for tech, not necessarily for luxury, the Limited is going to start at $43,300. It's $2,000 more versus the XSE because it comes standard with more features, such as the head-up display, which is technically still $600, but the foot-activated power liftgate is standard, the digital camera review mirror is standard. Those used to be extra charge options. and ditto for the wireless charger on the previous generation. Now, my particular test car has the head-up display for $600 and a couple of dealer accessories, and it balloons the price to $46,800. So over $45,000 sounds super expensive. In fact, it is, because this is a couple $1,000s more than some of its rivals. It's roughly about $1,000 more expensive versus the fully loaded previous generation limited trim. So I think Toyota has done a good job in keeping the price in check with the previous generation. But just keep in mind, this model with its best-in-class power, efficiency, and pretty impressive technology and refinement is a couple $1,000s more expensive than most of its rivals. But I think that is money well spent. And with this all-new 6th generation, Toyota has definitely risen the bar once again in the ever-competitive compact family SUV space. Well, all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my detailed overview on the brand new 2026 Toyota RAV4 in this limited trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.